Excuse me. The picture you see in front of you is a picture of the Honorable, and I don't know if that word actually applies, Mark D. Spears Jr. He's a councilman in the 3rd District in Louisiana, which is basically Jefferson Parish. And I'm putting this particular video in front of or attached to the videos that I did today regarding that racist ass sheriff that's in charge of the investigation into the death of, and that sheriff's name is Newell Normad, okay? This motherfucker is a racist to his heart, okay? He is a racist. And this punk ass Mark D. Spears wasn't man enough to accept criticism, so what he ended up doing was running to the sheriff with that email that he got from, or Facebook post, whatever it was, from somebody who disparaged the shit out of him. But instead of sucking it up like a man and keeping it to himself, he went running to that bitch ass sheriff and showed him the email. And the video that you're going to see subsequent to this is the sheriff reading the Facebook post or the email, whatever the communication was that was sent to this guy. Because the only way the sheriff would have known about how somebody felt and wrote about this guy was for this guy for it to have been sent to this guy, and he in turn gave it to the sheriff. Now, there are a lot of people out there that are getting all up and down over the sheriff, but I got to tell you, based on him doing that, I pretty much am going to go along with everything that they said about this guy in that email. Now, one further thing. A lot of the video that you're going to see regarding that sheriff and his rant, you know, disparaging everybody and crying the blues, is ridiculous, okay? And this guy is basically acting like that super coon up in Milwaukee, Sheriff David Clark, and that former sheriff out in Arizona, Joe Arpaio. He's got cameras up in front of him, and he is going to take advantage of his 15 minutes of fame. Now, what you won't see was that he read the word nigger in one of the emails or Facebook posts. And he, according to reports, was really comfortable in saying it. Now, I was referred back to a situation several years ago where he was talking to his local media, and he used the N-word there as well, and he defended it by saying that he was just taking it out of an urban dictionary. He's full of shit, okay? He's full of shit. This guy is way too comfortable voicing slurs. Now, as far as the particular Facebook or email that he read, there are some people that think that it wasn't a black person that sent that email. They're thinking that it was probably a white person trying to play black in order to get all over this guy and to incite stuff. And the more I think about it, the more I think I'm going to pretty much side along with other people who believe that it wasn't a black person that sent that communication to the Honorable Mark D. Spears. Mr. Spears, you need to man up and accept criticism and stop crying out to your... I'm not even going to go there. You need to stop crying, period. I was getting ready to say something, but I'm going to leave that where it is. Man up, Mr. Spears. Criticism is part of the job. You're an elected official. You're going to be criticized. You may not like the tone, temper of the criticism, but take the criticism. If it's warranted, do something about it. And if it's not warranted, forget about it. Further update on the McKnight shooting. Well, it is let us say, biased sheriff is making the announcement that they finally went back in and arrested that guy, placed him with a $500,000 bond, and this guy ain't got it, and they've assigned a public attorney to him. So have a listen.
Thank you for your patience, your restraint, and your trust in the process and in this organization. It has brought about, for the most part, a sense of calm in this community and set a tone that was necessary in order for us to do the job that we needed to do. Now, there's been many questions about the decisions that were made by this organization relative to this investigation that started on Thursday. Friday, we had a press conference to try and bring about a sense of calm.
That was bullshit. Friday, you were basically covering your ass for letting this guy go. So it did anything but generate a sense of calm. As a matter of fact, you challenged the protesters.
That I was not able to, at that point in time, out of an abundance of caution, to not taint witnesses that we knew that we were looking for, and I'll explain how we knew, but felt that it was important to try and bring about that sense of calm in the community. Thursday evening, we had a statement by Mr. Gasser. We had no corroborating statements, and we had no contradictory statements of witnesses that we were able to gather that evening. So I had a statement. In this state, whether we like it or not, we have a very forward-leaning, stand your ground, self-defense, justifiable, homicide laws, however you want to refer to it, that is very much in an affirmative fashion that creates for us an obligation to make sure that we get it right. Justice has no time period. Justice is not a sprint, it is a marathon. These investigations are marathons. In fact, it is not uncommon, and there's nothing that we've done in this case out of the ordinary.
Bullshit. If the roles had been reversed and that was a black guy that had shot a white guy, his ass would have been in jail. No ifs, ands, or buts. And there was a similar case that occurred about 3 years ago where a 70-year-old black man shot a white man in pretty much the same circumstances, and you guys locked him up immediately. And this guy is still facing charges and a trial. And his was more a case of self-defense than this one.
Or that is unusual, and I can point to hundreds of cases whereby we've identified shooters or otherwise accused perpetrators that we know have committed a crime that we do not arrest at the point in time of us knowing that.
I would love for him to generate a list of all of those.
Whether there's an admission or not, for strategic reasons in an investigation. Because our arrest is only as good as a prosecution. We accomplish nothing if we make an arrest and we can't put ourselves in the best posture, there are no guarantees, to reach a successful prosecution.
Bullshit. Your job is to make an arrest and to affirm charges. It's the DA's job to review the charges that you're filing, to review the information, evidence that you provide them with, in order for him to make a determination to go forward with a prosecution. Your job, obviously, is to aid in the prosecution, but it is not primarily to ensure a prosecution.
So for those who have criticized the men and women of this organization and the strategy decisions that we made relative to that, tough. I don't care. Because what I know is that I can put my head on the pillow every night knowing that we've done the right thing for the right reasons.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure most Klan members put their heads on pillows at night making the same statements, particularly given the fact that this guy had liberty from Thursday to Monday morning when he should not have. So you being confrontational with your constituents, the people that you are supposed to serve, that's a crock of bullshit. And you knew from Thursday on that this guy had a major attitude problem, and he was basically saying, fuck everybody, you know, I'm making the call on this, and I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks.
To give you an example, Mr. Gasser never did ask for an attorney. We have over 10 hours of non-custodial interviews with him.
Is he trying to make a fucking defense for the guy that shot Joe McKnight?
For 2 hours of a custodial interview with him. We got a consent search of his home, which I would have never had the probable cause to search his house, and so many other things that we were able to gain during the course of our interaction with Mr. Gasser, because what we were able to do strategically. In fact, while I was here Friday talking to you at 1 p.m. Friday afternoon, we had Mr. Gasser in a 3.5-hour interview asking him questions and circling in on his statement relative to what we knew and what we uncovered in the autopsy based on the forensics. I'll say again, if people don't think that we know what we're doing strategically and that we were going forward, as I said on Friday, in a deliberate and definitive way, tough. I don't care.
I think you did know what you were doing strategically. You basically gave this guy a whole weekend of liberty and also an opportunity to get his self together, including thinking about the story that he told you in your interviews on Friday.
We conducted over 160 interviews in this case. We identified 260 folks that we had an interest in talking to based on license plate recognition camera hits of multiple cameras in the location of this particular happenstance. We talked to over 70 business owners in an attempt to retrieve video. All of this since Thursday afternoon through yesterday at approximately 5 p.m., wherein in this very room we collectively came together and decided that we were prepared to draft an arrest warrant for the arrest of Mr. Gasser. As I pointed out on Friday, that there were witnesses we knew that existed that we did not yet have contact with, is exactly what happened in this case. On Saturday, we finally located a witness that was key to this case, and in fact, by happenstance, several other witnesses since Saturday up until last night at 7 p.m. that we located yet another witness that was key to making this case. So just as I pointed out on Friday, and our suspicions that we were going to be able to get our hands around additional witnesses that would help in this case actually came to fruition. We conducted multiple crime scene reenactments with the assistance of the coroner's office on Friday, as well as Sunday, and again yesterday. We conducted multiple consultations with the coroner's office and the district attorney's office, as well as other seasoned prosecutors who were not with the district attorney's office as it relates to what we were doing in this case. Now,
This guy is just trying to bury people with information, okay, that is being used to cover his ass as to why he didn't arrest that guy immediately, okay? So basically he's playing defense on his position.
I just can't not address some other issues that I am very much disappointed in the conduct of some of the citizens of not only this parish but this country. And at some point in time, we're going to have to come to grips with and begin to talk about this dialogue and this rhetoric that's going on in this country. We started Thursday afternoon with a witness who lied. A witness who said that Gasser got out of his car, popped caps through the windshield of Joe McKnight's car, yanked him out of the car, and popped him again while he was on the ground, saying that he had voted for Donald Trump and he was going to show him relative to, to that, and we were off and running. And you know why? Because some people wanted that story to be true.
Which is why I like waiting about 24 hours to let all the smoke clear, because on this particular point, he's correct. You get a lot of bullshit information that comes out initially, and it takes about a day or so, sometimes 2 days, for that information to be checked out, corroborated, or basically disproven. So on that, yeah, I'll go along with him on that. But he still had the initial premise that this man shot Joe McKnight from inside his car to outside of his car, and there was Joe McKnight presented no threat to him as long as he remained inside the car. So in fear for his life piece, that was a crock of shit. And then the same police were leaking stories of them looking for a gun. There was never any report of a gun, but they kept that potential Joe Knight gun situation in the news for 48 hours. They ran out of time. There was no gun. They knew there was no gun when they did the initial closing of the crime scene and the canvas of the crime scene.
And it's what compelled me to have this press conference on Friday, was to try and bring a sense of calm and reasonableness to this, and to create a distraction from that, because that was the furthest from the truth. Thursday night, we were busy talking to witnesses. We had yet to run the the search warrants on the two vehicles in order to begin the forensic process of processing those vehicles, and we are off and running. We are off and running. That particular witness told 3 different stories in the span of an hour. Shame on that individual. Shame on that individual. And that started something going down a path that we collectively should be ashamed of ourselves. And we began to criticize people for just asking for pause. Let the process take its course. But no, that wasn't enough. We had to make demands. We want justice now, and if we don't get it now, and we don't get it our way, we're going to start saying things and doing things until we get it our way. It's not about the right thing. It's not about justice. And it's not about the process. It's about what we want and what we want now. And we don't care who we disparage in the process. I want to thank Councilman Mark Spears, Representative Rodney Lyons, Senator Troy Carter, and Representative Jimmy Harris for standing up. They're not paid to be law enforcement, but they stood up after conversations with me, and I explained to them what was going on and the difficulties of this case, and asked the community to relax, to pause, to show patience, to show tolerance. This isn't about race. Not a single witness has said up to this day that there was one racial slur uttered during the course of these events. And unfortunately, a life was lost. But you want to know something, folks? 2 people engaged in bad behavior that day. Why? I don't know. But they did. And we're going to criticize everybody else for just letting the process take the course.
No, the criticism was that you have more than enough suspicion in order to detain that man while, quote unquote, you did your investigation. And now for you to admonish the community, all right, for actions that you took in releasing that guy when you knew damn well that you had enough just to hold him. We're not even talking about charging him, just to hold him, okay, while you took 48 hours to do more investigation. That 48 hours gave you sufficient information and evidence to actually bring forth a charge. Now, you wanted all your I's dotted and your T's crossed before you went after that guy. How many times is it when a person of color gets arrested immediately, you don't have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and when you finally do that, you turn around and let them go? So, good for the goose, good for the gander. You should have held that guy for at least the 48 hours that you were legally entitled to hold him without either making a charge or legally having to release him, called habeas corpus.
Elected leaders that stood by me, and I want to thank them again. You are true leaders. You are credible leaders. You did not do what was in your best interest. You did what was in the best interest of the community, and you're suffering for it, and I feel bad for you. I do. And I'm sure you see the emotion in me, because it's not fair. It's not fair for him to be called, you punk-ass Uncle Tom Coon. We saw you sell out to them, you rat-ass faggot punk.
Okay. Now, I don't know about all of that, but when that black councilman got up there and said 2 sentences, in my opinion, he could have saved those 2 sentences. And that's just my opinion. Now, other people apparently they got a bit more upset about him getting up there and wasting about 30 seconds than I did.
That's the tone of what we're calling our elected leaders for standing up and simply saying, let justice prevail and let the process take its course. To go on to say, you ass-kissing faggot.